Hi guys. So it's time once again to do some equipment maintenance. I work on the saltwater like 4 nights a week, and this is my pedal board. I just cleaned it a little bit, and what I do is I take one of these and very carefully use it to uh, clean the input jacks and the output jacks. I take a little bit of the deoxit. That's not the right one, but I take a little bit of, this is the lubrication, but use the red one. And then I put a little bit on the plugs themselves, all the plugs, the power plugs, and also the, uh, the audio plugs. And I clean all the input and output and power plugs, and then I move them around a little bit. Then make sure all the pedals are tight. Take all the sand out of it, because there's a lot of sand in our environment. And then I go and do the same thing on the power plugs that are on the power distribution here. Make sure that's all clean. These get dirty too, these IEEE plugs, and I usually clean them with a little bit of cleaner, and I have a special plug that I made that has sandpaper in it that I can clean those a little bit. You don't want to take the coating off those because it'll make them corrode faster, but you can take the white powdery corrosion off them. These guys, on these Fishman amps, if you use the deoxit in these plugs, you lose that kind of nice tension in the pots. So you got to be careful to clean them. But what you can do is use a little bit of that lubricant in them. And I just did this amp, took it all apart and just put a drop of the lubricant in, and move the dials back about 100 times each, and they will self-lubricate a little bit. Same thing with these plugs. These plugs get cleaned the same way. You put a little bit of cleaner on. Plus, if you get one of these, you can find them on eBay. These are like made out of like pencil eraser material, and you stick them in like this, and you just flick them like this, and it's very non-invasive, and it will actually brush the contacts clean a little bit. And you make sure all the knobs will turn without making that noise, right? So this amp over here, I got a bunch of these Fishman amps because I use them in stereo. This one's a little newer, and this one I fixed a bunch of times. I had blown filter caps in it, and the power switch broke a couple of times, and I think I replaced one pot. So there's one non-factory pot in there. So listen to this. Let's see if it does it. You can't hear it now because I moved this like 100 times. But when I go to do my my break music, before I cleaned it, it would go, make that crappy noise. The other things that tend to break are these multi-plugs. Sometimes like the mic or the XLR won't work on it. It's really important to take a little toothbrush, a soft toothbrush, and get the dirt out from around the pots. See how much dirt gets in there? And what happens is the moisture, especially if you're working in an environment like mine, the moisture will wick in through the dirt. The dirt actually pulls the moisture in. So this is not as much of a critical area, but it'll eventually get to the pot. These are not, hermetically sealed. They have vents and stuff. So, when the amp gets cold, you don't want to let it get cold on the beach, because then all that salt air condenses inside the amp. So I put a cover on, and I had these covers made, where are they? By this great lady on eBay, and I will share it with you because she makes these amazing covers, and they're soft, so much better, and they don't have that crappy stuff that the Fishman covers have. So this stuff never comes apart and makes your amp, have all that black residue on them. So, so once again, you want to make sure you clean all the plugs. Make sure these little cables, I replace these at least once a year, just because they start to get crisp, and you want to clean all these. And I'll show you, this is really important. Never squirt inside your pedal. It's not good for them, but you can put a little bit, I'll try to hold this. You can put a little bit inside. You can put a little bit inside the hole, a little bit of cleaner. just a tiny bit. You don't want to get this stuff everywhere. And then you stick it in the hole, and the cleaner itself gets distributed on the contacts. And you can tell if this is plugged in and you do this and it starts to make noise, too much noise, it'll always make a little. And then, you know, you're getting it clean. So make sure all your knobs are not noisy, because sometimes if you leave a knob in one place for a long time, it gets corrosion on it, and you'll notice your signal, well, you might not notice, but your signal will degrade over time. And all of a sudden you'll say, God, the stuff doesn't sound as good. But anyway, so that's the basic rig. It's not, you know, the cables aren't plugged up right now. The other thing you always want to check is, here's my cable bag. You want to check, where are they? These guys. Now, these are live wire cables. They're pretty decent. They're pretty heavy, but one of the things you want to do, I'm doing this all with one hand so I can hold the camera, but you want to pull the ends off, and you want to make sure that they are not corroded too. And you can look inside and see the solder connections, and you can see if they're corroded. This one's not horrible, but this cable actually is probably 6 years old. I know I got it before COVID. So we'll probably be replacing those two, and you can see how much wear is on it. It's down to the brass there, right? So, you know, eventually they will not sound good. The other thing that happens to cables, if you don't wrap them correctly, is they develop capacitance. And if you have too much stray capacitance in your cables, the resistance from the actual wire and wherever else there's resistance, plus the capacitance makes, anybody know? The answer is a filter. And you don't want this filtering the tone of your instrument. And guess what, guys? No matter what anybody tells you, cables make a difference. The cables, the quality of the cable, the capacitance, the resistance of the cable. You know, as cables over time, the shield will sometimes go bad. Or if it gets crushed, you know, if you don't wind the cables right and the shield gets too tightly bound against the center conductor, then you also get capacitance there. So, I mean, there's always a little bit of capacitance, and you can actually measure it. You can actually put this on a scope and run a signal generator through it. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime, and you can see how the cables will affect your sound, and you eventually hear it too. So keep your pedals clean, keep your amps clean. I don't know, I probably forgot something, but you know, if there's noise in your pedal board, clean it first. Just clean it. Check all the connections. And if you have any questions about repairing pedals or repairing amplifiers, you can ask me. I still do all my own repairs. Mostly old tube amps and stuff, but I have to fix the stuff that I use too, unfortunately. But that's my whole rig. I got one little bag. I got these 2 amps and some cables. I also sometimes will run through a little mixer if I have to send a signal out to the house, or I can, luckily this Fishman has a little send on it, but that's before my effects. The only effect that I use here is this Strymon. It does everything I need. I highly recommend this pedal. The Ditto I use mostly for practicing, or if I need to do a sound check and I don't have my wireless hooked up or it won't go far enough, I'll just loop something and then I'll go listen to it out into the audience. And this, in my opinion, is the most versatile little preamp that you can get for acoustic guitar. I mean, there's lots of them out there, but this one has everything. And I did a video on it, which you can find on my website. You notice here, I labeled these because the little input trim control and the boost trim control are right there. And so depending on what guitar I'm using, I'll change those a little bit and adjust them. And as far as noise and reliability, this guy here, this Shure, look how dirty it is. Still got to clean this. This Shure wireless is the most reliable wireless. And so I probably have about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then this, and then the Power 3. I probably have about $2,000 in this pedal board, which is not bad. And I have a duplicate of this that lives in the studio, except the one in the studio, instead of the wireless, it's replaced by a foot pedal. And sometimes I'll use that one for tour. It has a hard case instead of this kind of bag case. Everything goes in my little wagon so I can pull it across the beach. This wagon folds up. I just pull the handle and it folds itself up. Best thing I've gotten in a while. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't use my mono case so much anymore, so I have my guitar accessories in this little backpack that my buddy John got me years ago for a present. I just started using it. And that's it. All you need is that and some espresso, and you're good to go. Highly recommend these Fishman amps, too. If you want, I'll put all this stuff in the description of the video and links if you're interested. But that's how I get my sound that everybody loves so much. Okay. Not to mention the guitars. We'll do a video on those at some point, too. Lately, I've been playing the Connie. And if you look up there, you can see my latest creation. That's my hex beam that I'm going to go talk on in a minute. All right. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day.